Thank you for that, Bob. So again, a couple of housekeeping items because I'm MC and presenter. Don't know how that worked out, but the mobile app game code is 3345 for this session. And if you have any questions, please put them in the discussions tab. So as Bob alluded to, I'm going to talk to you about the team, why we're here, what we're doing, and how we can help you be successful and help us as well engage with clients. So, standard slide for those of you who attended all the sessions. So 2 million vehicles connected. So I just updated this morning thanks to the jet lag. 40 billion data points collected daily. And we think we have the richest telematics data set in the world. And it's not just GPS data, it's a lot of things. So for those of you who attended Bob's session, you're going to see the art of the possible in terms of what can be done with these data sets. So the question becomes okay, so transportation data can truly transform communities because, we think about it as telematics, but the truth of the matter is now we're kind of digitizing the physical world. That's really what we're doing. So today, the way we measure traffic could be, you hire an intern, you put them at a street corner with a clipboard, and they just count cars. So but whereas you go to the online world, you have all these tools, you have all these web tools, you have all these metrics that you can collect and measure and act on. So the idea here is that it's not just telematics data, it's not just transportation data, because we can really make and build better communities where we all live, work, and play. So whether it's environmental air quality monitoring, whether it's improving operations, Vision Zero, as Bob alluded to with the New York City work we're doing, and we're going to see in the next sessions we have later in the day. So there's a lot that we can do, and we should do, by the way. It's almost a moral imperative to do that. Improving our infrastructure, kind of dabbling in the future of mobility. So whether it's connected or autonomous or shared or electric. So people talk about CASE being the future of mobility. So we have the data today here that we can actually activate on to actually start predicting the future almost. So, okay, so that's the community, but we also believe that big data and machine learning and AI can also be used, because we're digitizing this physical world in a way that never existed before, that we can actually transform and disrupt entire industries. This picture's up on our website, so I won't read it verbatim to you, but a couple of quick insights. Like a cellular provider today will pay millions of dollars daily, well, on a monthly basis to have people drive around and test their network with a van. Well, guess what? Our modems, in Canada, we have, for one cellular provider, we're hitting the network from 50,000 vehicles every day. So we could actually turn that around and figure out, we can help them plan their networks better. And we can obviously help route vehicles away from dark spots so that they always have coverage and always are safe. So that applies in developing countries where it's mandatory to have cell phone coverage. The same thing is true, like people are talking about the last mile problem in logistics and supply chain and all that good stuff, micro warehousing and all these emerging trends. Well, maybe, and it's a hypothesis, right? Can we figure out how to place our next warehouse to ensure that same-day delivery, right? So there's a lot of power in these data sets, and we think that we can do a lot of interesting things with it. But according to Gartner, 85% of big data projects fail. In fact, their initial estimate was 60-something. A year later, they adjusted it to 85. And the reason for that being is that you're kind of sitting in this complex space in terms of your requirements are not really clear. I'm talking about the future of mobility, the future of, we're talking about the future here. And the technology, it's going by faster than I can keep up with it, even myself as a technology practitioner. So you're kind of here in the complex world. Not to mention, so we're talking here about, so Neil yesterday in his keynote was talking about data becoming information, insights, so that you can actually act on it. So closing the loop on the data. So now we kind of have, we have ideas, we have technologies, we have market that, we're market making in some cases. We're building and selling the first fax machine. So for those of you who are, crossing the chasm and all that good stuff, we have the classical dilemma here of what to do. So we have, a many-to-many problem. So, I think I can give everybody back some time because there's not much hope here. Got too much data, too many ideas. We've got the curse of plenty, so not sure what we can do. But since we're here, and since, for those of you who looked at the agenda, we do have some MVP use cases, so the story gets a little bit better. So standard plug-in to our CEO, so get my promotion and all that good stuff. So big data is what's around the corner, and we must go and see what's there. What that means, it's a philosophical construct, but what it actually means is, like, we need to go out there and learn by doing. We can't just, sit down and philosophize. So our team, just to give you the genesis, we've been in research development mode for the past 3-4 years, and now we're talking about products and solutions and things we can take to market and co-innovate with our partners. So we have to learn by doing. So in order to be adaptive and react to this complex world we're living in, we need to adopt an agile mindset whereby, we need to learn by doing. We as in Geotab. So we need you as the subject matter experts, partners, customers. Tell us what are the pain points. Tell us what actually works in the real world. Because we're approaching this from a very humble perspective. We know data very well. We don't know real world, right? We sit in our white lab coats and we sit at our computers and our Chromebooks and BigQuery this and that, but I don't know. I don't drive a truck. I don't know the pain points. Same thing. So we want to partner with experts. We want to think really big, but we got to start really small. We got to start as small as possible. We really want to start without writing a single line of code. And we want to start now. So we don't want to, 6 months from now or, when there's this board meeting, we need to move now because time is of the essence. And we're looking for real world and scalable ideas. So again, we're approaching this. We have data, we have capabilities, we have smart people, so let's work together in a partnership model. So today I'm really happy to be talking to you about the MVP service, as the title of the talk kind of suggested. So why are we doing this? Just to kind of replay everything I just said. We want to solve wicked problems, and we also want to solve scalable problems. So we want to find the next generation of Geotab products that we can build with you and for you so that we can move the whole ecosystem forward. And then the how we do it, so we like to move fast. We like to move on Agile. We're doing, for those of you versed in Agile and Scrum and all that good stuff, we'll be doing weekly sprints. We love the 3 legs of the stool model for partnership, whereby we work with the partner and the customer. So all 3 of us. We know data. The partner usually understands customer pain points better than us and can facilitate conversation with customers. And the customer has the real-world pain that they're feeling. And we like to move fast. So, for example, with New York City, as I'll show you a quick screenshot, time permitting, you're working with one of the biggest municipalities in the world. We did not write a single line or word of requirements. We just said, okay, give us your ideas. Let's jump on a call every 2 weeks, and let's show you progress. Let's show you something demonstrable every 2 weeks. As long as you don't treat us as like a consultant, and we just work as partners. So part of it is a philosophical construct where we all get in the same boat and we all kind of row together in the same direction. And then finally, kind of why we're all here is what is the service? So we will give you, at no charge, access to our smart people, our data scientists, our people who have been in the industry, and we're going to use big data and AI and other sophisticated technologies to kind of look for real-world problems we can solve and eventually generate value from. So this is an academic construct. I will say to be blunt, we don't have revenue targets, and we don't sell telematics devices. But we do want to build the next generation. We want to build the next Geotab, basically. That's what we're doing. So kind of a segue here. What is an MVP? And I put in a slide, Michael Jordan, but it's all like copyrighted, and it shows my age as well, so I kind of had to take it out. But an MVP is not that. An MVP is the minimum. There's lots of definitions out there, and like you go in the textbook, there's pretendotypes and pretotypes and prototypes and MVPs, and it's treated as a philosophical construct for what it is. It's the minimum feature set that we can use to validate and learn in the market. So, this is a famous analogy, you get it online. Like, you want to build a truck, you don't start with just wheels, you start with a scooter. That's really what it is. So, that's how you kind of prototype, you build, you measure, you learn. You have this adaptive mindset, this partnership mindset that we're using. And there's a running joke in the office that I was hired to fail. I think it's actually kind of close to home because I'm failing a lot. Because we're doing a lot of work here in terms of the ideas coming in. So let me talk to you very briefly about the process. can get this to work. There you go. So you remember that idea we had about the design squiggle and like markets and ideas and technology and all that? So we're trying to put structure around this. And this is classical, open innovation and funnel management and building and all that good stuff. But basically, we will accept all ideas. Whether you want to use our hyperlocal temperature insights to predict the outbreak of termites so that we can figure out if we can do better pest control or, better equip our pest control vehicles. Okay, well, let's look at it. Sounds fun. So we like to have fun with it. And just probably worth mentioning that we are working with our solution engineering team. They're building out a data consulting team. So we're on the product side, they're on the consulting side. And so together, we work together to vet the ideas to see, well, if this is a one-off study, happy to do it, provided it's, adds value to the customer. And then if there's a product idea, we'd like to get involved as well. So then the next question, okay, idea sounds good, kind of made it through the funnel. Does anybody want it? And, would they actually pay for it at some point? How scalable is it, the real world use? So then we do a pretty rigorous scoring criteria and admission criteria because up to date, we've been saying yes a lot and throwing a lot of people at problems, and now we want to put a bit of discipline around it. The fact that the service is free, we're still making an investment into it, so we have to get intelligent about vetting and looking at opportunities. And then finally, again, without writing a single line of code, what can I write? What can I do to answer and validate the question? So can I hack something in an app? Can I use Will's tool, as for those who attended the previous session, like data.geotab.com? What can I do to avoid writing code first? Because data scientists, you give them the problem, they're like writing codes and machine learning, AI. But before we get to that, can we interview some people? Can we talk to them? Can we mock up something in a wireframe and ask questions of it and kind of interview the customer and all that? And then, okay, we decided, yeah, it passes all that, all those sniff tests. Then we get into delivery mode on MVP. So we like to apply weekly Agile sprints for, continuous value delivery. And we take the fail fast approach. And so team's been busy. I mean, we've been around officially a year, maybe 18 months. Obviously, you got to throw in your really big numbers here. Anytime anybody would say any idea, we'd write it down. So 188 thoughts that went through people's minds. And, today you're going to hear about 5 or 6 of them that actually made it through that very end where we had, about 17 delivered. So, a funnel ratio of about 10 to 1. So sounds pretty healthy in terms of those in the innovation space. But again, there's no limits to the ideas. I made it sound like we're very rigorous, but we're also not that picky. If we find something is cool as well, we might do it for the cool factor. So it's not just about money and revenue and all that. It's something of value to our customers. And then finally, I'll talk to you about a very quick case study. So this is a screenshot here you see. You can select any road section in New York City, and Carlos will talk to you a little bit about building a smart city app in the next presentation. So you basically go in, you select a road section, and you get all the traffic insights for that road section. Remember when I talked about that guy or girl sitting at the street corner with their little clipboard and kind of counting stuff? Well, now we have, thanks to the power of big data and machine learning, well, we can actually figure out, and it's not just taking the data and putting on a map. It's not that trivial because you have to cleanse the data, you have to kind of normalize it, you have to bring in potentially other data sources, and you put it on a map and snap it to roads. And in some cases, there isn't good mapping data, so you use the GPS data using machine learning to identify what a road is and what an intersection is. So you're teaching the data what is actually happening in the real world as we digitize it. And so the result becomes something like this, where it's a tool that they can use to figure out where to put their speed bumps, where to put their speed cameras, and how to make everybody, going back to our original premise, which is this data can transform how we live, work, and play. And so very briefly, in the interest of time, I went pretty quickly, but for those of you who are joining us for the rest of the sessions, we have a couple of real world. I gave you the theory. I'm an academic by trade, so that's all I do. But I'll tell you what, people much smarter than myself have actually done. So Carlos will be talking to you about building a smart city app, and specifically, New York City will be weaved in, but there's a couple of other ideas. Disclaimer here, battery prediction, not necessarily an MVP, because they were cool before MVP was a thing. So Daniel and Mark will talk to you about predicting battery failure. Dina will talk to you from Data Enablement team, which we're doing a joint with enterprise to tell us how to suggest better vehicles and better predict fuel economy. Dina will also come back and talk to us about safety benchmarking and the work done with SafeLight. With Element is actually going to be presenting on behalf of SafeLight today because Aaron from SafeLight couldn't make it. And then finally, Carlos will wrap it up and talk to us a little bit about how do we improve fleet productivity. You're in a truck, you're waiting all the darn time. How do we improve that? How do we change it? How can we make a dent? So again, he's going to be talking about that. We're going to invite our friends from DriveWise with that recent announcement. So they're going to be on the stage as well for a few minutes to chat with us about this whole idea. So yeah, so that's really what I wanted to cover today. So open to any questions. And sorry, before I forget, I'm sure you're asking, well, how do we get access to this? So first of all, let's go from right to left. There is a contact form under data.geotab.com, which is still a thing I discovered, not ignition.geotab.com. Data.geotab.com, you click on Data Innovation Services, that's us. Come to the big data booth, somebody will direct you to our way. Talk to Carlos, talk to myself, talk to Dina when she's here. And, we may not get a lot of time today because things are busy, but we'll take your business card and we promise to follow up and see how we can work together. So thank you for that. Cheers.
Thanks, Amir.
Okay. Got any questions on the Q&A?
No questions online, but
I'm totally offended now.
Yeah. We'll open it up to the room and see if anyone has any questions in real life.
Okay.
From a sales perspective, let's say you have a company with 400 vehicles. And they're doing their job and they do it well. How do you go in and uncover some of these big data opportunities to bring in things they haven't thought about?
No, thank you for that. So just to replay the question, make sure I understood. The question is, well, how do you uncover if there's a big data opportunity with the fleet customer? Did I get that right? Okay, so there's a couple of things. We kind of take a top-down and bottom-up approach. And like I said, I'm an academic, so I got to say complicated things and then break them down. So the top-down is known industry pain points. Like we know that waiting at a weigh station is an issue. Okay, well, are you waiting at a weigh station? It's kind of like a checklist, right? To answer your question, I think more succinctly, there's also the bottom-up, which is let's look at the data itself and see what the data tells us. And so basically the first level that I would always do is take the basic insights that you have on the fleet, number of exceptions on safety, number of, wait times at borders, all that good stuff. And interview the right people and ask them, what's keeping you up at night? One metric that I always use, the evil capitalist in me, I go after the money. I look for where are we spending the most money on their pain point. Is it engine repairs? Okay, so they have an issue. Maybe they're keeping their engines idling for too long, so the engine hours are going up. So maybe that's an issue. Is it that they're getting a lot of speeding tickets? Is it ELD violation? Whatever it is, that's where we start. We start to talk to the customer. We've got the theory in the back of our heads, and we just understand from them what is the art of the possible.
I'm sure it varies, but of those 17 that were delivered, what was the typical cycle from contact to delivery? Was there an average, or did it vary widely by the type of project?
Yeah, so just to play that back, cycle metrics, so how long it takes from idea to delivery. I could lie to you and make up a number, but the truth of the matter is things were moving so fast that we didn't really get, so we put it in Jira, and for those of you who are familiar with Agile, we tried to track it. I'd say, let's put it this way. When you're dealing with municipalities, the cycle is months, right? When you're dealing with, to get to a quick fail for a customer who's very engaged, we're talking weeks to get to a fail, not necessarily to delivery. Like once you've decided that, yes, this is something it's worth our partnership and worth, going out and doing, then it takes, 8 weeks or something like that to do 4, 5, 6, 7 nice sprints so that you get something that's demonstrable to the client. But keep in mind, the model is we talk to the client every 2. So we're not hiding away and then coming back to something that's completely disappointing to them. So just to play that back, size of teams. Yeah, so we like to work in teams of 2 or 3. So typically, if there is a software component to it, we would have 2 data scientists, probably a senior person and a less senior person. And if there's a software component, it would be a software engineer. And then as needed, they would bring in a couple more. So we have this concept of, spikes where maybe we get together and, have 4 or 5 people work on things just to get it across the finish line. But for initial data validation phase, it's typically 2 people, like kind of a buddy system, a senior data scientist and a less senior data scientist. Okay, so any more questions? Okay, so relinquishing my role as MC. Oh, Bob, are you going to do that? Yeah, you got to tell them about the mobile app game code.
Oh, thanks, Amir. Yeah, the mobile app game code is 3345 for this talk, and an excellent segue into Carlos, who's up next. So if you have time to stick around, Carlos is going to talk to us all about some of the cool smart city applications that he's built.
Thank you, everyone.